Breathe in slowly. The smoke might burn your eyes. Listen closely. Tears won't help this time. Break the ceiling. It's made of thin glass. Face the feeling. You might not regret. Break the ceiling. It's made of thin glass. Face the feeling. You might not regret.
You're the woman. I'm making the money.
You cook for a change. I want to make a living. You know, what am I supposed to do? Just sit here all day and clean for you?
Yeah, that's right. You should.
I'm not in the mood. I don't care.
Emotional dysfunction. We hear this term a lot, but what does it really mean? Another name for it, and one that carries a greater stigma, is mental illness. Something that even now, in the 21st century, none of us like to talk about.
Definitely not. No. It's personal, yeah.
Probably a lot of people wouldn't, a lot of men wouldn't, but I'm hoping that eventually they will learn to do that, to open up, yes.
Maybe my family or close friends, but I wouldn't go out of my way to talk to therapists or counsellors or anything.
Years ago it was a different thing, but now it needs to be brought out, yeah.
In Australia, it's estimated that 45% of people will experience a mental health condition in their lifetime. In any 1 year, around 1 million Australian adults have depression, and over 2 million have anxiety disorder. And then there's anger issues, drug dependency, PTSD, and eating disorders, conditions that, left untreated, make life a confusing journey of dead ends.
Every year there's a 2 to 3% increase in all of these conditions. And a lot of times patients don't get the correct treatment for certain psychiatric illnesses, and they self-medicate with drugs. A lot of it's just the stigma of mental illness. For some reason, even now, nobody wants to talk about disorders of anxiety and depression and OCD, and a lot of people don't believe those things exist, that, you know, you can just get over it.
Many of these issues go unrecognised. People simply don't want to open up about them, so the chances of getting them to a professional is slim. And the breadth of the issue means numbers are large, and getting help takes time.
The sector is in complete crisis. It's underfunded, there's a lack of staff, there are so many people that need help, and they're just not getting the help that they need. There's fantastic workers out there, but they just can't cope with the number of people that need a service, and they keep coming back. So they're medicated, they might have some psychological treatment, but they just keep coming back. It's a revolving door system, and it's simply not working.
Mental illness is born out of the interaction of multiple genes with stress or drug abuse. These factors can trigger mental illness in a susceptible person. Treatment is commonly a combination of medication, counselling and social intervention, which mostly work well but require ongoing application, care and vigilance. However, academically, there are many competing viewpoints with regard to medication versus alternative treatments for mental disorders. The World Health Organization reviewed evidence for effective treatment of mental disorders and concluded that a combined pharmacological and psychosocial approach is likely to yield the best results. And the American Psychological Association published, for anxiety disorders, cognitive behavioural therapy, antidepressant medications and anti-anxiety medications have all been shown to be helpful. Research generally shows that psychotherapy is more effective than medications, and that adding medications does not significantly improve outcomes from psychotherapy alone. In an effort to find treatments that don't have medication side effects, researchers now also look at complementary and alternative therapies. If you Google alternative treatments for mental illness, you get something like this. Hundreds of websites from around the globe that offer an array of solutions. I can't begin to sort through and vet them all, but it does appear that there's a massive demand for something that I'd call non-mainstream therapy. Homeopathy, Reiki, quantum feedback and subliminal messaging therapies, they all have their advocates worldwide, including celebrities like Joe Dispenza, Bruce Lipton and anti-shock treatment campaigner Peter Breggin. But what's the science behind the theory? Sigmund Freud argued that thoughts and memories could be repressed in the unconscious mind. Freud believed repressed memories and feelings were often the source of psychological problems, and he believed that they could be accessed by psychoanalytic therapy.
Every experience, every comment, every thought that we have has an absolute impact on our body, on our life, on what we think. Every part of the body has an intelligence. And in that intelligence, when we have an experience in our outside world, something gets stored as a memory. And this is where what people in the medical field or psychology field would call the unconscious. It's like a little child that, if you tell a little child, you're stupid, you're dumb, you're not growing, the child believes that. So does you all the different parts of your body. So does your mind, so does your soul. You're programming it. When we start to take responsibility for our life changes.
So how about a world where the way forward is straightforward? Where we could reduce the symptoms of mental disorder, not by medicating, but by learning how to change our brains? Could it be as simple as that?
Change the brain? Is that even a thing?
I'm here at the Brain Wellness Spa in the northern suburbs of Perth. Now, their website states that they specialise in highly effective alternative mental health services that have noticeably improved the lives of thousands of Australians. Now, that's a big claim because traditionally mental health illnesses are actually quite difficult to treat. So we're going to go inside and have a look at what this is all about. I met with Ryan Skeen to find out if this is in any way related to Freud's postulation almost a century ago. Is it just relaxation therapy?
Definitely not relaxation therapy. So it's a world first drug-free holistic approach to and modality to mental health. Your past experiences and your memories, your feelings, your thoughts, behaviour, it's all filed away. So you can almost think of it like a filing cabinet. Everything that's happened to you up until this point, whether it's positive, neutral, negative, it's those memories and experiences that are essentially impacting how you think today, how you feel today, how you behave, and essentially how you perceive the world around you. So it all comes down to kind of cells and energy. So everything in the world, including ourselves as human beings, we're made up of atoms. So atoms are the basic structure of matter. So if you break an atom down, it's about 99.999% recurring energy and 0.00001 physical matter. Yet we always focus on the physical matter. And that's where you need to flip it, to focus on the energy. And when you do, that's when you can realise that everything in this world, including ourselves, at our most basic level, we're like magnets. We're constantly giving and receiving these frequencies. And one thing that process can do is it can help to change an individual's perception so they view themselves, others, and the world around them much more effectively.
So what physically happens during a session?
So we give them the headphones, we give them an eye mask. The eye mask, again, is to just help get rid of as much stimulation to their conscious brain as possible. Once that process is kind of complete and they're laying back in the chair feeling relaxed, that's when the process starts. And that's essentially when we read out the specially formulated instructions, which is kind of made up of harmonic coding or harmonic frequencies as well. And it's delivered at a sub-threshold volume.
Although the explanation is a little out there, the company's founder, Terry Bowman, is confident of the validity of the method. She's so confident, she set herself a public challenge.
What we're going to do is take 3 people that are in emotional and psychological crisis. We're going to follow their life's journey over the next 2 months and just see whether a natural alternative is going to be beneficial to help them in their recovery.
So the challenge. Can Terry's approach provide any improvement in the condition of the 3 chronic subjects she aims to help? There's 8 weeks to work with them. Will we see the method live up to her claim that an alternative natural approach can turn around their mental and emotional challenges?
So I struggle with an eating disorder. Typically, I'm diagnosed with anorexia nervosa. I have struggled with bulimic tendencies in that as well throughout my disorder. I can remember when I was 12, that's when it came on for me, and it conditions into you a little bit. And I think that's definitely what's happened to me, is my body and brain have just conditioned into it. So now I look back at what I ate when I was 12 and it seems like mountains and mountains of food, like mountains of food. You know, sometimes I think about what I ate 2 years ago and it seems like mountains of food compared to what I would eat today. In March last year, I was hospitalised. So I was in hospital for a month, and that was focused largely around restoring my weight and getting my body back. Yes, I was really low, my heart wasn't doing well. Then when I left hospital, I actually discharged myself. And since then, I have seen on and off an eating disorder psychologist that I used to see when I was younger, and just sessions with them on a day where my healthy voice is very far back in my head. It's a coffee in the morning, sugar-free soda or something around lunchtime, and then I'll probably have my dinner around 6:30, 7 o'clock, and that'll be a small pool of whatever it is. And it's automatic response just to obsess over the food and what it's going to do to me and what I need to do. And I think that's one of the things that makes it so difficult, is it's debilitating in that way, because I know exactly what I need to do and I know exactly what's going to happen if I don't do it, which is eat food, but I can't bring myself to do that.
Hi, my name's Callie. I'm a 34-year-old female, and I'm a heroin addict. All up, I'm moving into my 21st year of drug use. So over 2 decades now, from when I started smoking marijuana to picking up my opiate addiction, which has been my drug of choice, or truly my drug of no choice, because once I start, there's no stopping really for me. I do use daily. I use when I can and what I can. I would say the lowest I've been is homeless, living on the streets in the city, with my family being at a point where they no longer were willing to see me or let me near the family home, and me being in a position where I've reached a point of desperation for money, where I'm weighing up options now of things like prostitution and working in a brothel as to have accommodation and a means of financial support, because you look so awful a lot of the time when you're in the throes of addiction that you can't get a job, and you end up with really bad criminal records and a lot of dishonesty charges because of the lengths that you need to go to feed that habit. So stealing and whatever it takes you need to do as such. So I would say the lowest point for me was probably when I was homeless and weighing up things that I never thought I would. A part of me has, in a sense, made peace with the fact that I'm a drug addict, and to look in the mirror and identify as a heroin addict and be at peace with that it's a tragedy of sorts.
I think my childhood was so traumatic that I have completely blocked every memory. I get flashes every once in a while, like being locked in a bedroom and my mother just leaving. My stepfather just laying into me, bashing me, my mother not being around to see it. Honestly, me dealing with that and having them scars, it was abuse. Coming from a family home that was so broken, you don't have that love. I just feel these screaming voices in my head. The hatred and anger that I had for my mother was terrible. I was in and out of foster homes, youth refuges. School was pretty much the same. I just didn't fit in. Was always in trouble, class clown. I was only 15. I was staying in a youth refuge because I wasn't living with my mum. Started working in nightclubs at 17 as a glassy and started taking drugs, drinking, running down the main street naked. Anything I could to have a laugh and have a joke around. I joined the show. I worked on a Dodgem car track. I fought in Fred Brophy's boxing tent. And it actually felt like a family. I was about 25 and I turned around and said, I've got to do something. I really haven't done much with my life. So we drove all the way from Wagga over to Perth, and pretty much the first night we landed here, started having drinks, then we decided to go out. Went out, and that's when I met Kiara, my wife now, and she just made me want to be better at who I was. And she was that support network that I never had. We ended up getting married. I ended up working away. I was working a good job. I was earning good money. As soon as I got redundant, I lost the plot. Kiara and I would be out at somewhere, and she'd turn around to me. She goes, "Oh, are you all right? You know, I want you to come and talk to this person." And I'd snap and lose it. And I'd end up just arguing at her, fighting, and then walking out the door. And we'd be say probably 5 k's away from our house. I'd walk home in the pouring rain, just losing it. Just had no direction, didn't know who I was. I actually fallen so far that I just didn't know who I was anymore. Kiara always said to me she knew something wasn't 100% right. And I think the biggest thing was I never spoke about it. I just kept bottling everything up. I feel absolutely terrible now. I feel anxious every day. I feel depressed, not worthy of living the life that I'm living because I feel terrible. Kiara's 100% behind me on it. She supports me no matter what, and I take my hat off to that girl. She's put up with so much shit from me, and yeah, I mean, I want to get better for her. I need to get better for her.
Before our 3 subjects attend the clinic for their first session, I volunteered myself for a first-hand preview of what they're about to experience.
It's a very different way of working. It's not a medical model. We don't use medication. We don't diagnose. It's basically a wellness and recovery method. We work with the unconscious brain, and for people that have trauma, it's a very easy way of coming in and working towards recovery.
We find that 52.8% of what is actually coming through our door actually has chronic mental health, and that can be anything from post-traumatic stress disorder, bipolar, schizophrenia, right down to anxiety and stress.
You know, we've been on the forefront talking about this all the time, and it's not just the illicit drugs that are around, but you know, more drugs on the marketplace, more creations. It's just getting to the point where it's getting out of control.
Body image issues, anxiety issues, depression, and just lack of self-confidence within girls has increased dramatically over the past few years.
It has a lot to do with how a child is raised, but it also has a lot to do where the child comes from. That means, do mom and dad have mental illness? If mom and dad both have it, we call that genetic loading. And that child is already predisposed to so many things before you know, they're even raised. And now what happens is, if that child is raised in a emotionally fulfilling environment, and they're nurtured very well and cared for very well, and they're not stressed out, that mental illness may not show up, and it may never show up. But if that same child is in a very stressful environment, in a home where there is drugs and addiction and alcoholism and abuse, mental illness will show up really fast and at a very young age. And the genetic part of it really has a huge factor to play.
Hello. How are you?
Awake.
Awake, yes. Okay. Now, I can grab these headphones off you if you like.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
And I'll adjust to the light.
Alrighty, I'm just going to pop these over here. Alrighty, now just relax.
Okay.
Maybe have a glass of water.
Okay.
Take a sip. You can have a chocolate if you like. Yeah. Alrighty. Now, how are you feeling? What was going on for you during that experience?
I feel relaxed right
Yes.
now. I think I felt just something fluttering
Good.
around.
Yeah, like a tingling.
Yes.
Yeah, very common.
Yes.
Anything else?
I wasn't sure if you were there or if it was just something that was happening.
So I was literally sitting here the whole time. Wasn't anywhere near you. Spaced out or vague at all.
Not much is happening in my head at the moment, which is really quite unusual for me. Usually I would have planned absolutely everything and gone over it again and again and again in my mind before I spoke to a camera, or to anybody for that matter, but I'm finding it very difficult to latch onto any one thought at the moment. After one session I feel de-stressed and calm. But what will be the effects on our 3 troubled subjects soon to be at the centre of Terry's challenge?
How are you?
Terry, pleased to meet you.
Yeah,
Come
it's finally
through.
about time. Family, my mum was quite young when she had me. All the stresses of her trying to deal with a baby when she was like 17 herself was, didn't have my father around, in and out of homes.
Foster
Yeah, foster homes when I was quite young. Without ruining it because of my moods. Put them on now?
Yeah, come on. And I'll tuck you in.
Retreating into their sense-deprived cocoon. Like me, they'll all soon fall asleep.
Condition to bring me really stressed because of genetic condition. I've no tools. So what's your association with food when it actually comes to try and eat something?
So generally it's like a swarm of thoughts, just around whether I want to eat this, whether I'm sure this is the food I want to eat for a number of reasons, whether it be the type of food that it is.
Because your brain is so undernourished, there's no energy going into your brain, your body's got no energy. That it's going to be a rocky road. Does that make sense? The road to recovery is not always a smooth sailing. I wish it was for most people, but it's going to be a bit rocky.
More foggy and more confused than highly strung. More flat than heightened.
Can I put a little bit of a blanket? Now that chair goes all the way back, okay. Like a bed. So push back on it. Keep going. Keep going. Oh, that's so comfortable. Does that feel good? Yes. There you go, snug in. To the DNA associated with drug use, ignore DNA associated with constructs.
One hour passes. Time to wake them to see how they fared.
Welcome back, Mia.
Hello.
How do you feel?
Very spacey.
Yeah, space is good for you. Space is good. I'm going to have to get you to get something into your belly. Have a bit of juice, and then after that, I'm going to get you to go through your brain, and I'm going to see if you can have one bite of banana. Welcome back, David.
Yeah.
How was that?
Yeah, good. Still brain chatter, but not as bad.
Okay, what about now? Now, when you're lying there,
Yep.
you actually feel the chattering. Let me take that from you. You're twisted up there.
Yep.
So why don't you sit up?
Yep.
Okay. Think about your brain now.
Don't feel much.
Don't feel much. Okay. Your brain was in a pretty sticky place before. It wasn't very happy. Describe how your brain feels now.
A little bit clear.
A little bit clear?
Yeah.
Does it feel quiet?
A lot quieter, yeah.
Yeah, okay. How was your home?
So relaxing.
So relaxing.
Wow. Wow, that's so beautiful. It's the actual lying there feels beautiful. Like you could spend spend the rest of my days in that state happily. Spend the rest of my days on the chair, but unfortunately you have to live. I feel like I can actually see things clearer.
Now, you're angry when you first come in. Try and think of something that makes you really angry.
Doesn't bother me.
How could you say?
I don't really have a trigger, like a thought response to that. Like when you say think about starving yourself, I'm kind of just like, I don't really imagine it. It doesn't pop. It doesn't image.
Terry, these three individuals are really quite different, particularly Mia and Kelly. In a traditional therapy and traditional environment, it'd be quite different to what I'm seeing here.
Let's talk about Kelly. Kelly traditionally would have to go through naltrexone treatment, go through withdrawals, and then go into rehab. With Mia, she would actually have been in a controlled situation in hospital and supervised for her eating. Kelly and Mia are going to go through a recovery program where they're not going to be supervised and they're not going to be in a controlled environment. David, on the other hand, may look more functional in his life, but David's childhood was horrific with trauma and abuse, and going from foster home to foster home.
What can they expect to go through over the next few weeks?
What they would expect to experience would be a calmer mind, a more rational brain, and be able to cope with their day-to-day circumstances.
With their first session complete, our three subjects will now return weekly for the next 2 months to participate in Terry's program. Drug addiction, eating disorders, depression, anger management, they're all issues that are symptomatic of imbalances in the functioning of the brain. So why can't we control them when we know there's something wrong? Freud believed there was a mental content, feelings, memories outside of conscious awareness by which we were unwittingly controlled. The unconscious. Our unconscious mind does some good work for us. It keeps our body temperature at 37 degrees Celsius, regulates our breathing and keeps our hearts beating at a certain rate. And through the autonomous nervous system, maintains a balance of hundreds of chemicals in billions of cells, so that our physical bodies function in harmony. All of our habits of thinking and acting are stored there too. It creates a place of comfort. But if we have a genetic predisposition to mental illness and a trigger like stress or drug abuse, this fine balance is disturbed and it creates dysfunction that appears from nowhere. Some neuroscientists believe that the place is located between the ganglia and limbal regions, areas that we call the mind. Many psychoanalysts believe the unconscious is not an anatomical structure at all, but rather a label for a non-physical psychological phenomenon. Mental processes that go on without our even knowing about them. The question is there a key to manipulate those processes? I'm here at the Brain Wellness Spa for my second session. After my first session, I've got to say I felt quite calm, clear of mind. After about a day, I did regress back to my busy mind, but I've been told that's quite normal and that's to be expected. So,
good morning.
Hello.
How are you going?
I am well, Ryan. How are you?
Welcome back. I'm great, thank you. Are you ready to come on through?
Sure am.
Let's go.
Let's do it. Now, our three subjects are in for their third week of the program. Now, I'm told they're progressing quite well, but I am really keen to have a chat to them in a couple of weeks and see for myself. Right now, I'm going to go and have my session.
Some days maybe I feel like pins and needles in my hands while I'm laying there. Sometimes I see colours when my eyes are closed. I don't know, it varies from session to session, I guess. You just feel calm, you feel relaxed, you feel at peace.
You're almost instantly transported to somewhere very peaceful. For me, it's so relaxing that I typically doze off halfway through the session, And when I'm awoken by Terry like touching my leg or something and I come out of it, I'm in a state of total calm.
Kind of like when you're half asleep before you go to sleep fully, and like you're half asleep and you're in sort of that semi-sleep. You know, you're not really conscious and you're not really thinking about anything rational. Your brain's just like throwing random half dreams about like, you know.
It's a tough road to take. Just dealing with everything, I guess. I mean, Mia obviously is dealing with the initial disease. You just want to say, you know what, just eat. Just put something in. It's not that hard. Just pick it up off the shelf or pick it out of the fridge or the pantry and just put it in your mouth. And she's got 3 sisters and we've all struggled emotionally. It's draining, it's tiring. And like I say, she's the one that's dealing with it initially. For me as a parent, it's it's hard to split yourself between 4 girls, and you want to give everything to fix her, but I just want to take it away, but I can't.
She became a terrible rebel from about 15. She's stolen, all my jewellery was hocked. I mean, just everything you hear about drug addicts happens. Shattered my whole family. And whenever we tried and whenever we looked for help, we were told we don't have any help. Even rehab is not a help. This, to me, is the only thing I can think of that could help Kelly. Because it will, like, maybe her whole brain mindset will be changed. It's very sad for a mother to turn around and say, I wish I never had her.
Anyone will ask me how many children I have, I'd definitely say 4, because David's my 4th child. You know, I've always felt that, yeah, I bear the weight of him massively, just with everything, whether it be like giving him instructions on how we go about moving forward in our future, or, well, you need to make this phone call and call this person, this is what you've got to say. We had a falling out on Good Friday night. We were down south with my family in Bustleton, and we ended up in, a pretty bad argument, just because he spoke to me poorly, and I said, don't speak to me like that in front of the kids, so I don't want my kids growing up thinking that's okay. And obviously bad words back and forth. I told him to, F off, and he literally got up, got in the car, and he drove the whole way home and left me and the kids stranded in Bustleton.
Callie, it's Helen. Not here.
I was going really well, better than I've gone in the longest time. I thought I was well and truly on track to making some really good progress. An incident occurred, a really triggering incident between my parents and myself, where some old wounds were opened. I went and I used again. Just the shame of that caused me to want to hide what I had done, and then again having to let my parents think, oh, well, we knew it, So in a way, by doing what I did, I proved them right, Everyone's hard on the using addict, and rightly so, we hurt a lot of people and everyone around us, but the truth is that no one is more hard on us than we are on ourselves. And it's very easy for us to experience the lapse and the getting knocked off and using, and saying to ourselves, oh, well, we've blown it now. We've done it now. We've stuffed up again. I knew we couldn't do it. Everyone else knew I couldn't do it. And for that to trigger a relapse, like a full-blown, I'm back in it, I'm using again. I just think it's just been the most important lesson for me to know that I could have had those 2 days of using And in the past, I would have taken that as a sign-off to this program. But by not doing that, by just getting back up and getting back on my horse, I'm not far off where I was a week ago when I was 3 weeks, nearly 4 weeks clean and shining. I'm not far off that, you know.
I feel like eating is becoming more of a natural thing. Food-wise, intake has gone up 40–50% more than what I was a month and a half ago. Like, I actually am hungrier, I have a larger desire to eat. And the fear of weight gain is still there, it's just, it's detached itself from that food aspect, which is different, extremely, and it's a different tone.
I just find my relationship with my superiors at work and with my colleagues at work over the last, I'd say probably 3 weeks, has definitely gotten better. And each week I go up is getting like more positive. I'm hitting the gym a lot harder now because I'm actually putting myself, like, I'm in a lot better mood. I mean, for someone that was dependent on medication 4 times daily, someone that depended on a certain diet, a certain this, a certain that, a certain way of living, like, to the point where if someone would just say hi to me, it'd shit me. Now it's like, hi, how you going? And I have a conversation with someone. I'm like, who is this person?
Dramatic improvements in my life. So, I mean, my life's done a total 180. So I'm not using drugs. I'm not associating in that world. You know, I've got lots of hope for the future now. I'm now looking at getting a job for the first time in a while, you know, and looking at what some prospects for a job future will be.
Mental illness is not one thing. The term covers a group of disorders that affects how a person thinks, behaves and interacts with other people, and it can cause a tremendous amount of suffering to those experiencing it, as well as their families and friends. Episodes can come and go throughout their lives, and it's been shown that good connections with a network of family, friends and community is important to mental well-being and can be a protective factor against a range of mental disorders.
My husband and I had a big discussion about it, and we both decided that it was the best for both of us to go and seek the help that we desperately need. And I think that too many people, they try and hide it and, you know, go within themselves and try and hide the situation, but they actually need to speak to somebody about it because it really does make a huge impact on your life and your growth and who you are as a person.
If you talk to other people, you might find people that are in the same situation as you, and you can kind of share what you're going through, because sometimes you need that support mechanism that's not going through the person who's currently having it.
The treatment period is drawing to a close, with our participant sessions becoming more frequent. Their facilitators now concentrate on specific areas of their unconscious that are believed to be at the core of their problem. It won't be long and the 2-month challenge will be over. Only then can we make a definitive comparison with their starting selves to see how far their progression has come.
What is unconscious is just what we haven't chosen to place our attention upon. To me, the mind is just a recorder of what's happened up until this particular point in our life. We only become angry, we only become down, depressed or anxious with ourselves when we refer to the past as if it was the future, as if it was now. The only time that exists is at this particular point in time, and the only time that we can make a difference is in this moment of time. We can't do that by looking into the past, by surmising into the future. We have to be able to be present in this moment in order to take action to change things.
So here we are, 8 weeks later and a few setbacks wiser. Has Terry's method made a positive change to our 3 emotionally challenged individuals? I'm calling yes.
David has made a huge improvement, and I feel as though the fact that he's not on medication is just like amazing. I wouldn't say he's a different person, but I think I would say he's a better person.
It's amazing. It really is, like the difference that this has made to her life. It's just an amazing change and something I honestly never thought I'd see.
Kelly is a different person. She's present, she's aware, she's part of the family again, and she's just turned her life around. I didn't think it could work for someone that was so addicted, but it just shows, gives you another chance at life.
I was confident, but I didn't know whether we would get the results when we started, because they actually heal from their past, they let go of everything, and they feel transformed.
Callie, Mia and David are certainly not the same people we saw 8 weeks ago. Without any intervention, they've made huge progress and their recovery is unmistakable. It appears that Terry's challenge has been a success. It goes to show that if we confront the taboo of mental illness and seek out help if we're not feeling okay, it's the first step in escaping the confines our brains construct. Help is just around the corner. We only need to look.
When your heart is full of nothing at all, and your body runs, you forgot what for. Your eyes reflect light from a fire that is gone, and your feet are the only things that drag you along. When you're low,
give you a hug. It's good to meet you.
Hey, we're gonna cuddle. You good?
With the stones and sticks bird in a cage, 100 miles underground. When the rubble is falling, you'll be singing aloud. Don't you feel now? Your lungs are still breathing in air and out, and your feet are still hitting the ground. So you gotta hold on. You've gotta hold on.
I feel amazing. I feel really good. Every day is positive. It feels really, really good. Can't say exactly what I'm trying to get out.
Yes, I feel an immense difference. So whenever, how many months ago all this started, I feel amazing. Yeah, I feel really good.
I feel like Callie 2.0, like I'm ready to go on and have a fantastic rest of my life. I feel awesome.
Too many curse words. I don't want to put the curse words there.
The penny drops, you're out of luck. You hold your breath. You get back up when the rain turns to thunder, like a beat of a drum. And you're out on the street, you're just dancing along. So the key got lost to a door you knew, and the lock will rust, but you follow through and you're losing your balance, 'cause they're cutting the wire. Now you're running with scissors, you're a flare to a ride. Don't you feel now? Your lungs are still breathing in air and out, and your feet are still hitting the ground. So you gotta hold on. Don't you feel now? Your lungs are still breathing in air and out, and your feet are still hitting the ground. So you gotta hold on. Don't listen, the words they are spitting are poison, when all that you feel is erosion. You've gotta hold on. You've gotta hold on. You've gotta hold on.
Thank you so much for coming to our preview this evening. I know you all have a personal interest in this film because you've all struggled with mental illness, so I'd love to know, what did you think?
I thought it was incredibly moving and so inspiring. You know, their journeys remind me so much of, you know, my journey, and to come out the other end and see where they are too, it's powerful, really powerful.
I thought it was really good. You know, the three people that were telling their story about their personal life, because I've gone through this myself, you know, dealing with depression, anxiety, and suicide, because I was dealing with a lot throughout my career, especially fighting in the UFC. And I think that anyone out there that can go and see Terry and the Brain Wellness Spa should go and see, because it's helped me, and if it can help me, it can help you as well. So
I really responded well to David. I thought his story resonates a lot with what I can remember my story. Because I've been through the process now and it was so long ago, I can't really relate to that as much, but I definitely can feel his pain and what he went through.
How did the Brain Wellness Spa help you?
For the first time ever, I had peace in my head. On the drive down, I had all the mind chatter, negative thoughts, everything. And I sat there, had the first session, and I got asked the question, how do you feel? And I was looking at my head for the voices, and there was nothing. For the first time in a long time ever, I had peace in my head.
I'd gone through counselling, psychologists, psychiatrists, medication, nothing ever really worked. And I just continuously had these negative thought patterns on repeat in my head. It was relentless. I just couldn't escape it. And it was impacting my life to the point where I just didn't want to leave my house. So I came to the Brain Wellness Spa, and I would say within the first few sessions I noticed a massive change, and I'm literally living my best life. I went from someone that, you know, was at her absolute wit's end and was ready to end my life, to someone who is just thriving and just really enjoying day to day. So I owe that all to the Brain Wellness Spa.
Well, I found the documentary very interesting because I came to Brain Wellness Spa out of curiosity, just to see what they actually do, and then it certainly worked for me. And then watching the various journeys that all the other people were going through, it spoke volumes to me about the power of what she can actually achieve if you go and see Terry or one of her people at the Brain Wellness Spa. So I was very impressed.
Tell me your story and your experience with the Brain Wellness Spa.
Well, actually, it was my dad that brought me to the Brain Wellness Spa. I thought I had my anxiety and depression under control with medication, and so I wanted my dad to be accountable for his anxiety, so I offered to go with him. But in actual fact, I didn't realise how much I needed it and how much it's changed my life. And you just need to ask my children what I am like now. No more panic attacks.
I was struggling with depression and PTSD from early childhood trauma, and I had struggled with that most of my life. So I went to the Brain Wellness Spa, and what I loved about it was how simple it was, the simplicity. I knew in myself that I just wanted to be fixed. I just wanted to feel better, be better, and I knew that was a possibility. So when I came to the Brain Wellness Spa, I loved that I just relaxed and somebody else did the work, and I left and I felt better. Flash forward 4 years, I put my daughter through the program. I tell everyone else to come, and I'm in a loving, healthy relationship for 2 years, which would not have been possible prior to the Brain Wellness Spa. My relationship with myself is better. My self-esteem, my confidence, and my ability to go out into the world.